Good morning, Juliana and Alexandria, and Mom and Dad. Old Grandpa Hope here. I'm trying to figure out a way to feed the babies, the little baby minnows, and I buy this cornmeal, very fine ground. Then I throw food out on the opposite side of the boat for the big fish, and while they're over there looking for it, I dump some of this down here in the water. And there's thousands and thousands of teeny tiny little minnows out there, and as this stuff begins to sink, they'll discover it and come all running up and start hitting it, and pretty soon it'll look like little raindrops all in the water there. It'll take them a few minutes to gather around. Oh, this morning I'm trying to figure out about my plants. Well, this little jalapeno pepper's doing good. And there's a little bell pepper and another little bell pepper that's still alive. But look at this pepper plants. They just lose their leaves. Do I water them too much, or is it when they have their fruit and it falls off? And look, as they get old, the peppers get so tiny. Look at that. Well, that thing's hardly big enough to eat. I'm ashamed to give that away. And this pepper plant does it too. Here's all those basil plants. I've been clipping them off and water rooting them. I guess I've taken about 18 potted plants the past 2 weeks to town. This pepper plant's starting to get some leaves on it. It's a Mexican chili, and behind it's another serrano. And this funny looking thing here, that looks just like these funny looking things right over here. And when I look down at the bottom, I can see what they are. That's fresh ginger. Oh, and here's the new tomato plants. I planted them about 4 weeks ago, and they're doing pretty good. They're just starting to flower. The secret is, are they going to make little tomatoes in the summertime? These are heirloom tomato seeds, and they came from Minnesota, so will they grow in the Florida heat? Here's the Cuban oregano. It's kind of bushy because I cut all the little branches off and water root them. It's a very medicinal plant, and the Latin people love it, just as they love the peppers. And down here this morning, there's some pots, there's some basil plants. And this little guy right here is a mahogany tree. He'll grow 70 or 80 feet tall. There's some more ginger. And here's the first mango tree to sprout this year. Here's a mango seed right beside it that hadn't sprouted yet. And some more plants. Now, why does the old man do all these silly, stupid plants? I mean, I gotta haul water out and haul plants in, and, well, I reckon I could sit down here and maybe tell you for a minute. I can't tell what I'm getting a picture of, but about over 21 years ago, I started trying to straighten out my life. It was all messed up. I had everything backwards. And I was going to these silly AA meetings. That's Alcoholics Anonymous. I was trying to get rid of my alcohol and drug problems, and I'd been going for about a year. And an old lady came into the meeting one day, and she had a potted plant in her hand, and she gave it to me, and she said, take this home and see if you can keep it alive, and learn to love it. And maybe if you can learn to love, eventually in your lifetime you'll be able to have a loving relationship with someone. Well, I brought the silly plant home. Don't remember what it was. Did my best, and for some reason I kind of liked it, so I planted some more plants. And this was on the other boat. I've only been on this boat 12 years. And I started growing plants. And then I'm bringing these coffee cans home from the meetings and planting plants in them. And I'd take the plants back to the AA meetings, and people would take them home and grow their own vegetables. And people got into that. And pretty soon I've been growing all these peppers. We have a lot of Latino people in the Keys. and I go to the food pantry. So I started taking hot peppers and plants to the food pantry. Well, that's been going on now for 20 years. I grow things, and I think it's better to give somebody a pot of basil rather than a handful of leaves for supper. And by golly, I'm called the Pepper Man around town. I've got a lot of other names too. But that's just one of the simple, silly things I do with my life that's given some value to it, that makes me feel like I actually can contribute. Oh, is that all of that story? I don't know. There goes a big seagull overhead. And it rained a little bit yesterday and a little bit last night, and it's still a wee bit cloudy, as you can see. But it was the first rain we've had in 3 months, and I'm very, very grateful for it. The blue roof, that's the house I caretake over there. And for right now, happy days from the homeless old hobo out here. Your grandfather loves you. Would sure love to see you sometime. I'm trying to stay well and keep going on one day at a time. The birds have all left. Our water dish is full. The skiff is sinking and I can't get it out of the water to patch it. But all in all, life's really never been better. Never been better. Love y'all. Bye-bye.